What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys. And this is a brief review, kind of a retrospective or look back for me on a movie that I absolutely love. I grew up, if you guys don't know, I grew up watching a lot of 80s movies, like a lot of you guys. But I was like a 90s kid. So for me, though, a lot of the films that I watched were 80s movies. You know, it was either stuff that I would rent from the video stores, or movies that you had like a blank VHS tape that you recorded a lot of movies from the TV on that VHS tape. And this movie right here is actually a film that I saw on TV for the first time. And I only saw the ending of the film. I saw the climax of the movie. And I was a big fan of it. I had no idea what this movie was. I didn't know at the time that it was a sequel to what's considered a classic film for a lot of people. I love this movie. I know it's a film that a lot of people seem to dislike. And if you're a fan of Saturday Night Fever, which I'm going to be talking about its sequel, I can understand in some ways why you would not like the movie. It's totally different. It has a different feel. It has a different look. This one takes place in the early 80s, where the original film or the first movie took place in the late 70s. And the movie I'm talking about is Staying Alive. 1983's Staying Alive. And the reason why I'm talking about this movie today is I went back and I revisited the movie last night. It is actually one of the movies in my collection where every time I watch it, I still love the film. I saw this movie, I had to have been 10 years old when I saw it on TV. I think I was visiting family and I was in the hotel room at the time. We were just kind of just relaxing and I was going through the channels and this was on. And all I remember is the climax, and that was it. And so years later, not years later, maybe like 3 or 4 years later, I came across this DVD when I lived on an army base at the PX of all places, just sitting there on a DVD rack. And I had to own it in my collection. I've had it for almost 20 years now. This DVD came out in 2002, and it's a shame that, at least for me, that this doesn't have a Blu-ray release yet. So what is Staying Alive about? If you've never seen this, again, it is a sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and it has the character Tony, played by John Travolta. He's a struggling dancer living in Manhattan, and he just happens to hear about a new Broadway play happening called, I believe it's Satan's Alley. And he gets a part as a backup dancer, but he wants to prove to everybody that he can win and get the lead part in the Broadway play as the lead male dancer. He winds up getting it at some point in the movie. And so that's pretty much the idea about the film. That's the story, kind of like a brief plot synopsis of the story. And, you know, I know Staying Alive, when it came out, it was a successful film as far as box office goes. It made money. But it was a film that, and still is a film, that a lot of people criticize. It gets a lot of hate. And it's rare when I find people who love this movie or appreciate this movie like I do. You know, a few things that really stand out in this movie. For one, Sylvester Stallone directed this movie. And I did not know that for a long time. I had seen this movie several times throughout the years. And I think one year I was having a Rocky marathon. I do that every November. I'm currently watching them right now. But I was going through his IMDb page. And I was looking at his stuff that he directed. And he directed Rocky 2, I think Rocky 3, and then Staying Alive. And that really stood out for me, because it just seemed really bizarre that you take Sylvester Stallone and he's directing the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And when I went back and I watched the movie after I found that out, I saw all of Sylvester Stallone in this movie. Again, it's about a character who wants to prove to people that he is somebody, that he can, prove people wrong. And so I see that a lot in like the Rocky movies, especially the early ones, and I see it in this film. So that was something that really stood out. You got some great characters in this movie. Some you love to hate, but you're intrigued by them. You're interested in them. Our three main leads are John Travolta, who plays Tony, and I don't want to mess up his last name in the movie, so I'm just going to say Tony, from Saturday Night Fever. You have Cynthia Rhodes, his kind of friend or one of his love interests in this movie. She was in Dirty Dancing, that Tom Selleck movie, Runaway, from the 80s. And she was also in, I just looked at the back of it, the movie Flashdance, which Confessions, I've never seen that yet. And she kind of just disappeared after the 80s. You know, I don't know where she is today, but she doesn't act anymore. She kind of stopped after, it's like she did Dirty Dancing, and then that was her last movie. I could be wrong. She probably did more after that. But Dirty Dancing, probably her most well-known role was that one. And then my favorite performance in this movie, just because her one-liners are perfect, her lines are great. She's a character that you love or hate. You love and hate. And that is Finola Hughes, who plays the character Laurie. And she is the main lead female dancer in the show. And her and Tony have like this on and off love-hate relationship. Tony is fascinated by her in the beginning. They kind of hit it off a little bit, but as the movie goes along, they dislike each other. And it just so happens that at the end of the film, they have to perform together. And they have to kind of put aside any feelings that they have and, kind of make this show great. So those are some characters. Those are some standout characters. And the last thing that I absolutely love, or, two other things, I'm sorry. One of the last things that I absolutely love is the soundtrack. I'm a big fan of the soundtrack. I listen to the soundtrack quite a bit. Every time I watch this movie, I just get into the soundtrack. You got a lot of great artists a part of this film. Frank Stallone, who is Sylvester Stallone's brother, is in the movie, but he also does a lot of the music. If you remember the opening credit song, that is Frank Stallone. I can't remember the name of the song at the beginning, but it went on to be in American Horror Story 1984. If you remember the first episode, that song that plays when they're all working out is from Staying Alive. And I thought that was such a cool nod, because it almost shows that Ryan Murphy either just has a fun time with this film or loves this movie. So there's a nice little touch there. You got one of my favorite songs in this movie, We Dance So Close to the Fire, which is actually in the climax of the film. And that is my last thing I loved about the movie, is the climax. That is the one thing, when I first saw this movie on TV, that I fell in love with. It's the climax, it's the Satan's, hopefully I'm saying that right, Allie's, Broadway show. And so you have Laurie and Tony having to dance together, put aside their differences if they can, and just pull off a show. And I love the climax of the movie. I absolutely love it. Every time I watch it, which, fun fact, every time I watch the movie, I dance to the soundtrack. I just have to. And it's actually one of those movies. So when I was younger, when I saw this movie and I saw like Girls Just Want to Have Fun with Sarah Jessica Parker, I, at one point, very briefly, wanted to become a dancer because of a movie like this. So that's kind of a fun fact about me. If you don't know that about me, is I wanted to dance. And I realized I have no rhythm, so I put that career behind me, which wasn't really a career, but every once in a while, when I'm by myself, I still dance. And when the song We Dance So Close to the Fire comes on, I dance to it. I work out with that song. I work out with like the Karate 4 sound. No, not Karate 4. The Rocky 4 soundtrack and the Karate Kid Part 2 soundtrack. I work out to those. I work out to the Staying Alive soundtrack. I'm on the hunt to find the soundtrack, the CD, and hopefully I can find it. And also, I would get a one sheet of this movie. This is how much I love this film. I'm a big Staying Alive fan. My buddy Brian always likes to say that the reason why I love this movie is because of John Travolta. Because, you know, I'll show you this. I mean, there's John Travolta in the back. You know, that's his Broadway attire at the end of the movie. And he's, not gonna lie, he's a hot guy in this movie. Like, something about him I do love in this movie. And, you know, fun fact, Sylvester Stallone, like I said, he directed this film. And when, you know, he got attached to the film, one of the things that he wanted John Travolta to do was buff up. And this was like one of the first times, because this was like somewhat early on in John Travolta's career, where like, Sylvester Stallone really wanted him to beef up, or, you know, work out for this role. So yeah, little fact, not really a fun fact, but, you know, there's some great like making ofs of this movie on YouTube, or like TV promotions, interviews where you see John Travolta working out, you know, from day one up until a point where they were making this movie. You see Sylvester Stallone talking about it. You see them together. I think still today they're really good friends. And again, this came out in 1983. So, but anyway, guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this film. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I might start doing just kind of random reviews on movies that I absolutely love, that maybe not everybody loves them, but for me at least, I love them. And I love 1983's Staying Alive. You can watch this movie without seeing Saturday Night Fever. That's how I saw the movie. It wasn't until I got this DVD that I realized it was a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And I am not a fan of Saturday Night Fever. I know it's bad to say. I know that's a classic film, and obviously a lot more people love that movie over this film. I just can never get into Saturday Night Fever. I saw that one later on after I saw this movie. And they're two totally different films. You got Tony, John Travolta, who's in both films, the same character. And I think that's one of the reasons why people didn't like this movie when it came out, is it is a totally different movie. You know, it's based in the early 80s. It's, you know, just different. You know, honestly, when you watch the movie, if you watch this film and you haven't seen Saturday Night Fever yet, and you then go see Saturday Night Fever, they're two totally different movies. Or say you see Saturday Night Fever and then you watch this movie. They seem different. Just the same character, and his mother's in both movies as well. Those are the only two things that really kind of relate to both movies. So anyway, guys, enough rambling. I wanted to talk about Staying Alive. I absolutely love it. I think I'm going to title this movie, you know, something of like, you know, Staying Alive, the underappreciated sequel, or something like that. Anyway, just wanted to talk about my love for Staying Alive. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you've never seen Staying Alive from 1983, go watch it. Rather you love it or you hate it after you're done finishing it, watch it. It is so much fun. It's 80s all around, and you know, I'm also a fan of like Grease 2, and that's one of those other sequels that people just seem to either love or hate that one. I think more people love that movie over Staying Alive though. But I love Grease 2. I'm one of those kids growing up that I saw more of the sequels than I did the first films, or I saw those before the first movies. So like Grease 2, as a 6-year-old or 8-year-old watching it on TV, you know, singing along with the songs, it wasn't until maybe like a year later that I found out that there was a original film. Because again, I see these movies on TV as a kid, and I'm just loving the movies for the movies. So many other movies. Mannequin 2 on the Move saw that one before I saw the first Mannequin. And again, as a kid, I was watching this film. That was actually one movie that I had on a recorded VHS tape. And I had to like skip certain movies to get to Mannequin on the 2 to watch that film. William Ragsdale, Christy Swanson, the character Hollywood, who's actually in both films. I could talk about that movie at another point. But anyway, you know, for me, I saw a lot of these sequels, or those 3 sequels, Staying Alive, Grease 2, and Mannequin 2, before I saw the original films. And I love Mannequin and I love Grease, but I could never get attached to Saturday Night Fever. I know a lot of people love that, and I'll probably get dislikes, but could never get attached to that movie. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching me ramble and talk about this movie. I tend to ramble. That's okay, though. But I hope you enjoyed it. A spontaneous review. I'll probably get people going, Saturday night, or not Saturday night, Staying Alive review. What is this? But I hope you enjoy it. I had a lot of fun making this video. It's been a blast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me talk about Staying Alive. And if you've never seen this movie, go and watch it. I don't know if you could stream it. Maybe you could find it on Amazon Prime. I hope one day that this little gem of a movie gets a Blu-ray. And if you guys know if this movie has any type of Blu-ray, please let me know in the comments. If you are a Staying Alive fan and you just come across this video one day, let me know if there is a Blu-ray, because I will be more than happy to buy a Blu-ray of Staying Alive. And I probably won't retire the DVD. This is one of the first DVDs I remember buying. So this DVD is always going to stay with me. But I would love a Blu-ray of this. So anyway, guys, Staying Alive right there. Thank you for listening to me talk about my love for Staying Alive. That's the title of the video. My love for Staying Alive. We dance so close to the fire. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will be back this week with like 2 or 3 videos that I have in mind. I really appreciate the support and love. You guys mean so much to me. And I talked about it before, but I love how strong this community is now. It's been strong in the past, but it's grown so much. I started making videos in 2008 when we had a small community of people who love movies, who love scary movies, just movies in general, collecting mostly DVDs at the time. And now, almost 12 years later since I've been a part of YouTube making videos, the community has grown even more and more. And since 2020 has been a rough year for, everyone pretty much, I think the community is definitely much stronger. So anyway, guys, I love you. I don't want to keep rambling. But as always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative. Go eat some Skittles. That's my favorite candy, by the way, if you didn't know about that. So much love to you all. I really mean it. I love you guys. And thank you so much for watching this video and all my videos and supporting me. Love you guys. Anyway, talk to you later.